What is up, YouTube? So it's been a bit since I've done a video, and um, as I sit here, it is Tuesday, January 5th. There is a Senate runoff election going on. I have not checked in on it. I have no clue what is going on. And tomorrow is January 6th, and they're going to be counting electors or rejecting electors at, in DC. So, um, as it stands, not even sure we have a president elect yet. And kind of kind of wanted to set the stage a little bit for what I was wanting to talk about. What I want to talk about is the state of the separation of church and state. Um, Specifically on how the church seems, or at least some in the church, maybe countering what I feel is a wrong interpretation that some of the church have. I am used to polarization in our nation, and obviously the church is polarized as well. But on this issue, I'm just absolutely surprised that the church is so polarized. That the church is as polarized as Republican and Democrat, uh, seemingly conservative, liberal. And it's beyond frustrating for me. It's weird because I'm somebody that it's I think about, like I've been following politics since high school, and um, I mean, and it affects everything, so and that's why I follow it. I started out being intrigued by it, and then, you know, and then that's one aspect of what kind of tends to grab my focus in life. The other is my walk with Christ. And so there, even within me, there's this struggle. And so, God's been trying to get kind of pull me more and more toward Him, as long as I probably have been alive. And So, I guess what I'm trying to say by that is at least I understand the struggle to a certain extent. Um, because I guess what I'm focusing in on here is the church. Some in the church have this focus that those of us in the church who at this point in time happen to be focused on this election are are wrong in what we're doing. Like, even as far as accusing people in the church of near idolatry toward Trump. Um, and I want to sort of try to wrap my mind a little bit about why I'm so bothered by this sort of stance that some in the church have taken. I get that people don't like Trump. I don't like Trump. Personality wise, I'm kind of a mild mannered person, so he's the opposite of that. Um, so I get that aspect of it, but I think that I guess I don't really understand the fascination that people have with hating Trump, because that's the thing that I think I see at this point. And I didn't think the church would be affected by this, at least as not as much as the world would be. Um, you know, the Bible talks about geopolitics. God is interested in the welfare of his people under whoever it is that happens to be controlled at the time. Um, I mean, I don't know how you read the Bible all the time and not and somehow miss this aspect that throughout Scripture it is about land and politics, because it's about people. I often think that we think more spiritually of the Bible than it really is. I mean, it has that component, but we often only view that component. Um, but it's history also. It's what actually happened in life. And God is always, not always, but has at times throughout the Bible interfered with the politics of the day. So this idea, first of all, that God is not, like it's some sort of Christian delusion that God may be interested in what happens in the United States, is false from a biblical standpoint. Doesn't mean he is necessarily interested specifically in this situation, but the idea that it's almost non-biblical, that that's a possibility, um, is flat out wrong. Um, so that is one thing to get out of the way, right there. What frustrates me, and what I think I see here is, quite frankly, I think people in the church don't like the idea of being associated with Trump. They tend to look at Trump and see this awkward person that that says awkward things, mean things even, right? And has done things in his past that, you wouldn't want to necessarily proclaim as being good. Has said things in that way as well. And so for that reason, I fear that these church people, these church curmudgeons, are distancing themselves. And what worries me is they're not distancing themselves from actions Trump has done. They're distancing themselves from Trump personally because they don't want the stain, the taint, the stench. It 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 doesn't seem like Jesus to me. It seems like the Pharisees. Donald Trump has done a lot for the church when he's been president. And in fact, he's been the best president I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I'll take all his flaws, and I don't care. And I will have forgiveness for him for those things. And I wouldn't care to be next to him or shake his hand or be associated with Donald Trump. I don't care. It doesn't bother me one bit because I don't put myself above Donald Trump. I try not to put myself above anybody. I would think other Christians would be doing the same thing. This idea that we're of Christian nationalism, this is a term that's thrown out, we're being nationalistic. So what? Again, I talked about how the Bible is geopolitical. Are we supposed to not care for the nation? Isn't the nation filled with our family and friends and neighbors? How do we love our neighbor and not love our nation? And not want the best for our nation? This doesn't even make any sense to me. It makes zero sense to me. And it's hypocritical. It's super hypocritical to me because some of these Christians would have zero problem focusing on Israel. We overly focus on Israel. And I think probably maybe for good reason. But can't we focus now on the United States for, I don't know, maybe a good reason? I mean, think about what is going to happen to the world. And I'm not trying to be grandiose in regards to the status of the United States, but the truth of the matter is that when the United States suffers, world hunger goes up. I mean, this is just a fact. Are Christians in agreement with people being with more starvation in the world? Are are we in agreement for these Christians who love to promote this idea that we're supposed to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, which I do, and focus on Israel and the geopolitics of the Middle East, which I do, but then get down on us for focusing, my God, on our own nation? Um, do they, do they not see the hypocrisy here? That, I mean, I just, would they say to Daniel, as he prayed for, let, let me bring this to where we are and focus with Daniel. Um, One of the things that I think is going on in the church is that we have a lot of people who are claiming to be prophets, and they are saying that Trump will get 4 more years. Um, I think much like Christians don't want to be associated with Trump, I think what's happened is that Christians have started to associate these prophets with QAnon type stuff. So there, and some of these prophets, are probably in the charismatic prosperity gospel, or at least associated in some way. So some of them, not all of them, some of them. And so there's this idea, these church curmudgeons that don't want to taint themselves with the stench of, these prophets. So they're setting themselves up for not for faithlessness, to be quite frank with you. And it's kind of disgusting, to be honest. God has not talked to me specifically about this. Um, but I don't need God to actually talk to me about this, to give me a prophecy, to know that God can use people, and he may choose to use somebody. I have no problem with God being God and doing what he wants to do. And if he wants to tell somebody something, I'll listen to them and I'll consider what they say, and I'll try to my best to discern and pray about what they say. And that's the thing that I think, I'm not just going to overly dismiss what somebody says. And in regards to this whole situation, I don't need the prophet. I don't, because I can see, I can use my own eyes. I can use my own eyes and see that we have had a problem with this election. Um, it was stolen. It was stolen. If you look at the evidence, it was stolen. And can I tell the Christian who has a problem with people like me who are focusing at this point in time on this election, on promoting Donald Trump to be the next president, can I say to the Christian, do you support unequal weights and measures? Because that's an abomination to God. Are you supporting that? Most of these people don't support the Democrat Party. If they support the Democrat Party, then I'm not talking to you. I don't even want to talk to you, because I almost look at this in regards to Paul excommunicating somebody in the hopes that they'll gain their senses. Because if you're promoting the Democrat Party, then you're promoting evil, as far as I'm concerned. I don't promote the Republican Party. I just know who promotes evil, and that's the Democrat Party right now. And so I've done 4 videos on that, on why you cannot vote Democrat without being misled. I mean, I do think good Christians are voting Democrat, but they're doing it because they're misled. And so the point is that just basic common sense tells you that, I can't go along with evil. I can't. The Democrat Party supports everything that's unbiblical in my eyes. And then they stole an election. And the Christian stands in, the Christian curmudgeon stands with their nose in the air at somebody like me and all these other prophets, and I'm not including myself as a prophet, I'm not one, and with their nose in the air, and says, just trying to distance themselves as if they're so much better and holier. How you Christians are you're tainting our reputation by getting involved in politics. You know, and this is where I get back to Daniel. So Daniel's praying because he knows the prophecy Jeremiah gave. Imagine if Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came in there and said, "What's up with you, Daniel? What you're so what are you, some sort of a nationalist? You're trying to isn't God good enough for you? What, just pray to God. Don't worry about that Israel country that we came from. You should be happy where you are and just pray to God and worry about your relationship with God." And because you know what, we don't want to be tainted by the rulers over there in Israel. We don't want people to know, that we don't want to be overly political. Imagine that. It's insane to me. Where they say, "Oh, Daniel's a nationalist." These Christian curmudgeons, to me, sound like the 10 spies. They go into the land and they go, "Oh, don't you know the odds? Don't you know the odds? I mean, we don't want to go because we might fail." It doesn't matter that God told them to go. It doesn't matter that God told them, "I'm sending an angel ahead of you, that I will prepare the way for you." That it doesn't matter what the odds look like now, that I will overcome for you. That doesn't matter. We're going to go look at the circumstances now and judge everything by that. Now, is that Christian? Is that a Christian thing? No. We don't judge by sight. And so when I hear prophets say, "Thus saith the Lord," okay, I don't go "Thus saith the Lord," but I might if God told me to. And I can't judge them by saying they're wrong just because they said that. But if they say that, I'm going to judge what they say. And the truth is that what they're saying sounds right to me. Yeah, evil, theft should not take place in our country. And if it does, the church will be harmed. God's reputation would be harmed. Other nations will be harmed. The world will be harmed. What am I missing here? What am I not understanding about this situation that some of the church people don't seem to be understanding? This isn't even about Donald Trump. Nobody cares about Donald Trump. People go, "Oh, well, he might be able to run again." I don't care if he runs again. It doesn't matter. The point is that we can't promote and put our stamp of approval on an election that we know was stolen. And if people go, "Oh, I didn't see the evidence. I just can't see the evidence," I question your brain. I mean, honestly, I know people are smart, but they're not. Don't claim that you care about the issue, because then I question your sanity. Because if you cared about the issue, you'd be searching it out. If you searched it out, you'd see it. If you can't see it after searching it out, there's some problem up there. So I'm super confused right now on what's going on. This is a difficult situation we find ourselves in, because it looks like Joe Biden's going to be our president, and we got a bunch of prophets saying that something totally different. But this is how God does things. I'm not running from that. That's great. I mean, can you imagine? And Christians who sit there and they have this sort of this lackadaisical, scared attitude, and it's snobbery. It's just flat out snobbery to me. This hypocrisy. I mean, there's a lot of things just mixed up in it, and I mean, and these are good Christians too, and I just don't understand, how we've got to this point. I mean, it's funny because it's us against the world. It's us against the world, and our own are telling us to bow down to this worldly system that we know is unjust, how can I accept that? You know, this is the same system that kills babies because it wants to have sex more, you know? This is the same system that promotes, and even if, just to get political, I mean, for a minute, you know, if you're against bombing countries, and I am, and both parties have done this, so this isn't a political, you know, this isn't a partisan thing. But Donald Trump hasn't done that, right? I mean, do we want more war as a Christian? This seems like a fight worth fighting, I guess, from a Christian standpoint. The idea that we just go, let's just go in our prayer closet. Prayer closet? Yes. Fasting? Yes. But shouldn't we be able to do citizen stuff too? Why are Christians not allowed to do that? Why are Christians not allowed to be citizens? We can't promote truth and justice because it's in a political realm? Because we get the taint of politics on us? It seems strange to me because one of the problems I felt like the church was figuring out recently was that we weren't going into the world enough. We didn't have enough entertainment. We weren't providing entertainment sources to counteract the Hollywood people. We weren't going into the political realm to counteract all the nefarious stuff going on. And now we have an opportunity to stand up at of one accord. I mean, that's when the Holy Spirit breaks out. When they're in one accord. And we have church folk going off, the church curmudgeon, backbiting us when we're trying to promote justice, which God is for. I guess I pretty much have said all I got to say about it. Um, I don't know. It's super frustrating for me right now. But I'm still believing God's going to do something really good. I'm hoping that starts tomorrow. And I don't know. So I guess I got everything off my chest a little bit, but I'm going to try to do more videos. So maybe somebody liked it. If so, you know, hit like button, you know, share it if you feel inclined to, and comment if you know, if you disagree with me. Let's have a conversation about it. I'm open to trying to figure the thing out. I really don't claim to know everything by any stretch, and I'm just confused by it, and frustrated. And so if there are Christians out there that can better explain it, then I'm open to listening to you. So anyway, until next time, I appreciate your time.